Madam Division Governor, what a lovely introduction. It's got to be downhill from there, hasn't it? This morning, you've all made a great effort to get on an early train, an early tube, face the traffic, and whatever other challenges you had to do to be here for 45 minutes of information and sharing, you'll notice by the way you're set out, about memory. So we'll get straight down to it. What we're going to do today is understand how we can use our memory to maximum capacity, both for our Toastmasters work, our speeches and our evaluations, and our general evaluations, and also for our life in general. There's going to be three areas we're going to look at. Simple systems, so simple ways and processes that we can use to be able to remember lots of information. What are known as pegged systems, which are slightly more complex systems for remembering the information. And then some tips and tricks and things that I do, some things that I've seen that other colleagues of mine do that are really helpful for their memories. This session will be recorded. These slides will be available. You don't have to take any notes if you don't want to. If you hear things from your colleagues and your friends, please do take notes from them. That would be very, very helpful. So to start us off, you'll notice, some of you in your little groups of half a dozen, that each group has got a beanbag or a ball. Can I ask you, if you're on your own, go and get in a group with some other people, can you please, when I give you the say, can you stand up and then 3 minutes for the whole group, so that works at about 20 seconds each to do this. To introduce yourself, my name is, don't worry about your club or anything else like that, my name is, and my top tip for remembering names is, I look at the names now. My top tip for remembering names is whatever it is. 20 seconds, throw it on. Within 3 minutes, we should have all got round. I'll tell you when it's about halfway. Manage the time yourself, you're all Toastmasters. Off you go. 3 minutes, off you go.
So, my name is Amanda, and I remember very badly, so I don't remember. I remember their faces.
That's about a minute. A couple of you, keep going round.
My name is
My name is also Jill. I'm Gillian.
That's 2 minutes. Okay, you've all got round now. If you're down now, then please take your seats. That would be great. Thank you very much. What did you learn? What top tips did you just hear?
Repeat their name.
Repeat their name. Great one. Thank you, Taz. What else?
another word that rhymes.
So a rhyming word. Another great one. Thanks, Jill. What else? Use a visual. Thank you, Lee.
Association of names.
You've got an example?
Judah King.
There you are, perfect. So you hear things from each other, and my encouragement is listen as much as you can to each other. There's going to be a few activities that we're going to do when I'm going to suggest you do it in pairs. My suggestion is you don't do it within this group or people you know. Every time you do a pairs activity, go and introduce yourself to someone you don't know. Challenge learning a new name, meet a new person, and let's work with that. So while you're sitting down, can everyone please put a hand up, just one hand up. And I'm going to say a number, starting at 0, going up to 10. When you hear your number, put your hand down. So your number is how good you think your memory is. 10 means you think you've got a perfect memory, absolute recall. 0 is you need to check your name base to know what your name is. So if it's at 0, put your name down, put your hand down. A 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5. Lots go down at 5, often 6, 7. You're staying, well done. 8. Someone down at 8, 9. And 10. 10. Thank you very much. And humour is really important in memory skills, so thank you for that. So now my question to you all is, do you believe that memory is something fixed or something changeable? If it's fixed, give a big cheer. I think my memory is fixed, this is how it is. Give a cheer if you think so. Yeah, really. If you think your memory is something you can change significantly, give a big cheer. And that is why we got out of bed this morning. If you're interested, you can go and read some research. There have been lots of programs that show that people's memory and their IQ have changed substantially just after some sort of input, some sort of activity. 21 days, that's all you need. The best research is by someone called Carol Dweck about having a growth mindset, the belief that we can change anything. Anyone read that? I know Penny has, there's a few others. It's well worth reading. So if we believe our memory can be changed, we don't walk around saying, I've got a bad memory. We walk around saying, I haven't remembered that yet. So my encouragement is strip out any of that language that makes you locked into this, I believe my memory is fixed. Start believing your memory can do anything. Who believes memory is some sort of gift? Okay. And who believes it's a skill? Most research shows it is a skill. Like public speaking, like anything else, it's something we can learn, which is what we're doing. So this is the question, how we remember our speeches. And I said simple systems and peg systems. Let's start with the simple ones. We've got mnemonics and acronyms we'll talk about in a minute. I'm going to start with VAK. Anyone know what VAK might stand for? Thank you.
Sorry.
So, visual, auditory, kinesthetic. So what we see, what we hear, and what we do with movement, kinesthesis, movement. So we're going to learn something using all of our senses, visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. But before we do, we're going to try and do it without that. So can I ask you, please, everyone stand up and go stand in pairs with someone you don't know. All around the room, go meet someone.
Hi, I don't believe you, mate. Hi. You probably met me initially. Yes. My name is Ty. What do you think?
So, what we're going to do now is I'm going to show you some information. I'm going to put it on the board, you've got a few seconds to remember it, and let's see how much of it sticks. Some of you may know that I am a practicing Buddhist, and in our Buddhist practice we have something called the 10 worlds. 10 life states, ranging from the lowest life state of hell to the highest life state of Buddhahood. So you see the list of them from hell all the way to Buddhahood. There's one word that some of you may not recognise, which is bodhisattva. Bodhisattva is someone who is kind and caring and looks after people. Think about Florence Nightingale or Amanda Swartz, then you get the picture. So that is the list. Everyone can see it? Okay. Can the people at the front crouch down, stand on a chair, whatever you need to do, have a little look. Get it in your eye, get it in your mind's eye. You've seen it as well as you can. That's visual. Now, in your pairs, how many do you remember?
Okay. Do you remember any? So head, hunger, anger, fracture, and then learning, there's another B, Buddhahood was, Buddhahood, that was the last one. I'm just trying to visualize it. Hell was on that top there, visual was there, learning was the realization was visual. You got the four of that side. So hell, hunger, anger.
Okay!
There's a T and then there's a
Okay, back to the centre now.
fracture.
Who remembered 5 or more? Nice. Who remembered 8 or more?
I got 8.
Whoa. Who got all 10? And in the right order? Okay. So what?
As a pair?
Yeah, as a pair.
Oh, you've got 10.
Yeah, you got all 10. Okay. So a couple of us. Now what we're going to do, that was visual only. I said a few of them, but it wasn't very auditory, was it? So it's visual. What we're going to do now is we're going to use all of our senses. Visual, auditory, kinesthetic. So make sure you've got a little bit of space around yourselves and put down anything in your hands. And what I'm going to do is take you through these 10 words with physical gestures so that they will sink in and help us stay. You ready? Okay. I'll put them up because then you get the visual as well. So we're going to start, the list goes down and down. Ready? Just do the gestures with me, okay? Hell is this. Got hell? Yeah. Hunger in your stomach. Animality. Ah! Come on. Ah! Anger. Twist it round. Okay? That's the bottom 4. All in. Next. The next 2. Tranquility. Calm. Rapture. Hey! Okay. Let's just do those 6, see if we can do them all together. Right, go. Rapture. All in. All in. Let's try the last 4. Learning. We've got a learning. Realisation. Yeah! We got it. Body Sattler. Florence Nightingale. Give the person next to you a hug. If you want metaphorical or actual, you can. Thank you, some of you. And Buddhahood. Buddhahood. Quickly, let's go through them all. Silently, just do it, sir. Thank you. See if they stay in. We'll check back at 10:15. Okay? Have a seat. Well done. Thank you very much. All 11:45. So that is a way to remember a list of information in an order, creating some sort of visual metaphor. If you shut your eyes, could you see that? Can you sense it in yourself, in your body? So, I'm not saying you have to stand on the stage, on the back of the stage, doing this type of thing, or whatever the equivalent for whatever you remember that is. But if you have a list that you want to remember in some order, if you attach something that is visual, something that's physical, something that involves movement, you're more likely to remember it. You're going to see loads of things in these next few minutes. Take the ones you like, use the ones that you like. The ones you don't like, just leave them. It's fine. There will be some for everyone. So that's one way. Another little way, and I don't know if you can see this all, but this is how another visual metaphor, how I write my speeches. If I type up my speeches, you'll notice there's like half a dozen paragraphs and each paragraph is colour-coded. So I would generally have a speech, 2 pages maximum. I'd print it out so that it's 2 pages side by side, and then I would have a red and a blue and a red and a green and a yellow and a whatever the colour is. And then when I'm delivering my speech, I would have remembered, I can see on the paragraph. And I can see, yeah, I'm at the top of page 2, I'm in that red bit. If you've just got a list of stuff in black, there's nothing to distinguish paragraph 1 from paragraph 8. Not everyone likes this. I find it really helpful, and particularly when I've got a speech, when I've got a lot of content that I want to remember. So if you like that one, please have that one. So that is the visual, auditory, kinesthetic, a couple of different ways. There's a couple of more systems that are simple. Mnemonics. Some of us would have remembered mnemonics from school. What was the mnemonic for this?
Never eat shredded wheat.
Never eat shredded wheat. Thank you, Taz. I think the kids now say that never ever smoke weed or something of that nature. Okay. So a mnemonic, how a mnemonic works is that you've got a number of things that you need to remember, and you take the first letter of each of the words, the key words, and then you make one phrase. So rather than having to remember north, east, south, west, that's It's only 4, okay. Then you have one phrase, never eat shredded wheat. What's the one for the planets?
I've got it in the bench now.
Thank you very much. Round of applause over there. My very easy method just speeds up naming planets, although we can't say planets anymore because we've been off Pluto. You get that: Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, and so on. So you're remembering one phrase. You're not remembering a whole list of things in a certain order. When did you last learn that? Yeah, sometime in school. So it stuck with you for at least 5 years, and it's really helpful. So what we're going to do now is make up a mnemonic. You're going to have a couple of minutes to make up a mnemonic for a speech. So imagine a speech has just been given here, or you've written a speech, and you've probably got something like 5 themes. You've got an intro, great, you've got your conclusion, and then you've got your 5 themes, which we're calling chocolate, miss, supermarket, accident, garden. You don't know what the story is, but it doesn't matter. So your challenge now, and you can either do it written or discussed in pairs, is to make up a mnemonic that is as helpful or as catchy as never eat shredded wheat. Tricks for making up a nice mnemonic are personal, so it's something for you. You don't borrow someone else's, because that's not very helpful. Funny, if they can be. Rude, definitely, because that's more memorable. And if they involve a bit of movement, then you're more likely to remember them. So look at those. You've got 5 things to remember. If you're feeling brave, you can add in I for intro and C for conclusion. But stick with those 5 and see if you can come up with a funky little mnemonic and share it in your group or with a person next to you. Take a couple of minutes to do that only. See what flows, how creative you've been. I'm glad that you're going to see at the bottom. And I really appreciate it.
I know what the most
Quick show of hands, who likes that? Who thinks it's something they'd use? Oh, neat, excellent. Right, okay. And who's got a good one? Who's got one to interview?
Well, I did intro as well.
Okay.
Close. In China, monsters sit astride gorgeous characters.
And we're close, and we're going to remember applause for that. Remember that in a phrase. Another one.
Johnny will seek a girlfriend.
I'm never going to forget that.
Call my sister at another G.
Call my sister at G. Fantastic. One more.
Cats make sneezes and gasps.
Cats make sneezes and gasps. Give them a round of applause. Mnemonics are really helpful for remembering exams, remembering content, remembering facts, but also for remembering speeches. If you need to map it out, it's really helpful. I had to do a speech for the Rotary, and it was 35 minutes, and one mnemonic didn't quite cut it, so I did 3. So I had 3 phrases, and all I had to do, I say all, but remember those phrases well enough in advance so that they're nicely embedded, and then I just run through those phrases, and I think, okay, whatever the thing is, G, Grace, cool, whatever, girlfriend, then you just think of that word and then it takes you back to the context. So that is a mnemonic, and that's how we use our mnemonics. An acronym is similar. Anyone know what an acronym is? Yes. Tell us what an acronym is.
It's just the initials of
So yeah, so just the initials. So we're not making a word over, just the initials. It has to make a word. If it doesn't help, you know. So someone says smart, that's a classic one.
Yes.
So I have an acronym that helps me do this. It helps me leave the house in the morning without a panic and a whole load of embarrassment. And my wife says, "You're memory champion, you have no clue where your glasses are. This is embarrassing." I just think about my morks. Have I got my morks? And I just go through my little list. My mobile, my watch, my cash, my keys, my specs. That's all I need. Although nowadays you need an extra lead for your charge and all that stuff. But 5 things, if I leave the house with those 5 things, I should be all right. So acronyms I find quite helpful. Brendan.
I have a similar one. Cash, keys, calls, Kindle, check the cooker, kiss the wife.
C's okay. And is that in order of priority? Can I just check? And this is great, isn't it? Because we use these things. You know, what we're talking about are things that are not new. Things are natural to some of us and quite instinctive. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a bit of a practice using an acronym and making up an acronym. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you a story. If you like, this is a mini speech. I'm going to give you a speech for about a minute and a half. And when I've done it, can you spend a couple of minutes writing your evaluation? And what you want to do is in your evaluation have, let's say, 4 points, and whatever those points are, and then look to see if you can make an acronym from that. So it could be content, structure, movements, humour, whatever it is. Something like that, and then share the acronym. Well, what I would do is when you've done it, ask you to stand up and go and share it with someone else. Does that make sense? Is that okay? Okay. So this is a speech, and this is a story that is very helpful to know about memory. I just said to you that memory is something that we have worked on for a long, long time. There was this man called William Caxton who came along about 500 or 600 years ago and invented the printing press. And from then on was a slow decline of memory. We didn't have to use our memory so much because we could find stuff in books. Before then, memory was a really important skill. Nothing was written down apart from that painstaking scribing by monks and other scholars. So you didn't get hold of a book, so you had to memorize stuff. And the history of memory techniques, and hence this picture here, dates back to the days of the ancient Greeks. This is a man, his name is Simonides. Not a picture, from the British Museum, and he was the founder of memory techniques. What happened was that there was a banquet, and it was in a room something like this, and Simonides stepped outside of the banquet hall for a moment to check his papyrus or whatever he had to do, and then what happened? Dad?
He was able to call back what? Building burned down, and he was able to call back everybody because of the memory palace.
Exactly. The building collapsed. It's not going to happen this morning, but it collapsed, and he was the only person standing. And of course, there was no guest list, there was no little map, and the relatives needed to know who was in the room, and he discovered that by shutting his eyes and visualizing where people were in that room, that he could remember everyone. So he could provide a really helpful list of who was there, which meant that clearly people could take whatever action. Now, from that moment, there was this realization that our memories are really powerful, and we could start using this as a technique. Taz just referred to a memory palace, and that is a way of imagining content in your mind's eye and then being able to see it. So, that is a little story about memory, a bit of a history. Consider that a mini speech. Do your evaluation notes, just a couple of minutes to write them down, and then see if you can turn the theme of each of the points into some sort of acronym that would be memorable. Take a bit of time. You can either write it or you can discuss it. It's probably best to have a minute or two to writing it first, okay? So when you think you've got something, standing, sitting, happy sitting, the person next to you, share, say your evaluation, explain your view on it and see if it's something that's memorable. See what you've got. So share with the person next to you.
So one of them might be to share ideas about what important to me, but maybe you can find words.
I see. So you think of a story.
Who thinks that they would use it? Who came up with an acronym that they liked for this little exercise? Hand straight up, what have you got?
Do you just want the acronym?
Well, the same one that, yeah, give us this.
It was signpost, story, people, audience, body, language, and conclusion. And that was SSPABC, which was silly, sausages, pop, and bang conclusively.
Great, it's a mnemonic rather than an acronym, but perfect. But it works really well, yes.
I'm a simple girl.
So I had HEMEV.
Yeah, Hemev.
And for commendation, his use of hands and eye contact. For recommendation, move around more on the stage. And then for commendation, engage the audience and good use of voice.
So there's a really good example. Hairnet. And it brings us to the point that Nigel mentioned to me just now, is an acronym to work has to be a word, but it doesn't have to be a real word. Morps, the one that I put up for my cash and keys, isn't a real word, you don't find it in a dictionary. But if you can say it as a word, that's more useful than trying to shoehorn into some long old word like chocolate. That's when it doesn't work. There's another hand that went up there was keen to say one.
Chisel, but without the E. So C is content, H is humour, I is intelligence, S is structure, and L is length.
Brilliant, brilliant, isn't it? So, and again, you adapt it, forget the E. If you try to shoehorn an E in, it's not helpful, so you make it work in your own way. Fantastic. Great, get them all around the applause. It's really good work. And my encouragement to you, because this is a short workshop, and we're cramming in the data of content into 40 minutes, go and ask people in the tea break or whenever, go and say, what acronym did you come up with? What was you on your monitor? Go and share some of those. Let's make it a little bit richer. So they are 3 what we call simple systems. And we spent most of the time on those because these are the most useful. Something that you can straight away take and adapt. The other things, I'm just going to give a brief outline to how to use them. And these are what's called PEG systems. Taz alluded to something called the memory palace. And this is really where it comes from. There's 2 PEG systems to share with you today. One is called the Roman room. Anyone heard of the Roman room? Okay. The Roman room is effectively, you take a room like this, or like any other room, and you have 5, 6, 7, 8 landmarks that are always there. And then what you do is your 5 bits of content in your speech or your evaluation, you attach them to one of those landmarks. And it's the room that you are in. So some of you meet in here, don't you? And some of you meet in Hammersmith, some of you meet Covent Garden, wherever you meet. In your room, think about 5 things. I tend to think about the exit door, I'll think about the lights, I'll think about the person in the front row, I'll think about a window, I'll think about one other thing. And then, when I write my speech, I then attach the content in a meaningful way to those 5 areas. Try to have a nice flow so that you're not going from here to here to here to here to here, but you attach the content to it. It's not something we can practice in a short period of time. My encouragement to you is next time you have got a speech or an evaluation, try and do that. Say, okay, make a reason. So my opening I attach to the door, and my opening is going to be a quote from Churchill. Well, there you are. You've got Churchill standing at the door with his cigar, and you've got that image, and it stays there. And then this thing in the middle is going to be about the aeroplanes that came over. So you've got at the back, you've got the lights of the timekeeper being the lights of the airplane, something like that. You make it meaningful. The great advantage of the Roman room method is that you don't have to go away and remember new methods. You don't have to make up a new mnemonic, for example. What you do is you say, right, I've got my fixed points, my door, my lights, my people, my window, whatever, and then I'm just attaching my content, pegging it to those 5 points. Brief outline on it. When I send out the slides, and I can send out a bit more background information, some examples of how I use it. It's not practical to do something with that today. But on the brief outline, who likes that? Who thinks that's appealing? Someone was telling me, someone at a conference was saying to me that they were really impressed with a public speaker. Dare I say not Toastmaster? But they were really impressed with a public speaker. And they said, what's your secret? And she went back, did the speech again, and talked around the Roman room how she did it. So it's a really helpful and powerful one. And aligned to the Roman room is a journey method. It's exactly the same principle, but it's not in one room. You think of a regular journey that you do, and you have 5, 6, 7, however many landmark points on that journey. And then again, you attach your content. So whether it's the front door, the wife that you've just kissed on your way out, the bus stop, the train station, the office door, whatever those things are, you attach the content, make the content move. So make yourself being able to see it visually in your mind's eye. They are identical methods, it's just the process, it's the same process, it's just you either attach them in a room or attach them in a journey. So that's enough on those two. I just wanted to give you a brief outline. They are really good and helpful methods, and if you make your own and be really comfortable in your room, then there's something that can really work. So you've got choices there. You've got simple methods, you've got pegged methods, and you can use those for remembering your speeches and remembering your evaluations. And now the final challenge is to do this. A couple of years ago, Jacob Velocity came to our club when he was our area governor, or division governor, I think, and he did the general evaluation, and he did it without notes, and I was incredibly impressed, quite jealous, and a bit competitive. So I emailed him, I said, how did you do that? And a combination of what he suggested and what I know about memory are these notes. Whether if you're in your own club, it's obviously a lot easier because they've got 10 new names to remember. But these are the things that Jacob suggested and that I note as well, is that you just are working on one page. You're not working on 8 pages of A4, you've just got a one-page grid with roles, commendations, recommendations, something like that. So you're working into that one box. You spend some period of time planning, organising and remembering it, and it does mean you have to duck out of really focusing maybe on your topics, depending on how you organise your evenings, but you need some point in time to be able to plan and remember. And you've organised your notes so you have got very clearly each person, I know what they said, I can give you some commendations, I can give you some recommendations, and I can have those locked in my mind. If you can, pick up the order of your speakers. And there's 2 ways. You either you come up with a funky mnemonic or an acronym, you'll have your agenda, won't you, all evening. So you'll have everyone's name who you're going to evaluate written down. So you can go President, Toastmaster, warm-up, evaluators, topic master, topic evaluator, like that, and take their names, and then you can just have a mnemonic, and then you'll be able to at least talk about the people in order. Or you stand at the front of the room and you visualise them. You think, I'm going to go there. So remembering the order that you're going to introduce to people is really helpful. And then the last thing is, the few minutes before you're going to speak, you spend a few minutes in your chair just saying, okay, have I got it? Do I remember? Do I look at that person? I think, yes, I know what I'm going to say about Penny. Yes, I know what I'm going to say about Lynn. Yes, it's really clear. My suggestion is, if it's your first time general evaluating, you probably don't want to do this. You might want to wait till you've done it at least once, maybe twice even. When you feel that you're a confident general evaluator, then you can have a punt at doing something like this. I've done it a couple of times, and I've done it with my notes to one side. One time I had to go back, another time I didn't. I think if you want more help with it, call Jacob. I don't know if you'll thank me for that. Well, you can call me, I'm more than happy to help. If you think, the last thing I'd say about this, if you think it's helpful, do it. If you think it's not helpful to you, it's not helpful to the evening, don't bother, because it could be seen as showing off. So actually, does it bring value to me or to anyone else? Or am I just saying, yeah, I can do this? Because that's not helpful. So, this has been a whistle-stop tour of 40 minutes through memory techniques. Simple systems. VAK, acronyms, mnemonics, PEG systems. Ways to lay out your content, ways to do your general evaluator with no notes. To finish off, can I ask everyone, please, could you stand up and go and meet someone new? Hello. Can you just shout out, from what we've covered today, what are some of you going to do? If anyone knows any of the research about commitment, if you say something publicly right now, either to the person next to you or to this room, whether they chase you up on it or not, you're more likely to do it. So who's going to shout out, who is going to do something as a basis of this?
I'm going to use what you taught me today in my speech this coming week.
Fantastic. Hey! This week, look at that, that's a proper connection. Well done. One more? Some more?
Next time I make a speech, I will not try to remember it word by word, but will use the concept we learned today.
Get your things, right on. Thank you for that. One more, someone at the back. Someone at the back. Someone in the back, yes.
Generally, I will make through without notes.
Great, champion. Okay, so let's see if what we've been covering these last few minutes is any good or whether it's just a load of hokum. Let's see if we've got the 10 worlds in our head. They're not there? Yes. In fact, let me ask, someone else want to come and stand here? Someone want to lead this? Feels confident? Come on, come on. Okay. Okay. So we're going to copy and we're going to go through. Do you want to stand on the chair? Then we can see you. Stand there, just put back on. Perfect. Okay, are you ready? Okay.
So, we were...
Worth getting out of bed this morning?
Yes.
Everyone remember where you live?
No.
Oh, okay. Thank you for your participation. What we're going to do is you'll get this video, which Tom has kindly videoed. Thank you for that, Tom. I'll upload it, I'll send it around, I'll send the slide deck. Please make sure that wherever you register, we've got your email address. If you want my email address, it is here. Feel free to take a note. A couple of extra things you can do. If you're in the competition today and you want to start using some of these memory techniques right now, my suggestion is don't. My suggestion is really trust that in the next 10 minutes, actually your speech is already in. Don't try and introduce something new. Thanks for getting up so early and getting stuck in, and have a great day.